Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. My name is David Handschuh. I'm a newspaper photographer. I'm not a photojournalist. Photojournalists get 6 months to work on a story. They wear vests from Banana Republic. They go out and they spend the first 4 of their 6 months learning the lay of the land, talking to the people, doing their research, having a few cocktails. Then they take a few pictures. Newspaper photographer, if I get an hour for an assignment, they want to know why I took twice the amount of time that I should have. There are times where I'm waiting for a celebrity. I sit around and wait for 3.5 hours for 5 minutes worth of photography. My camera has taken me places that I would never have ever thought that I'd have the opportunity to go. And for that, I'm very, very thankful. I'm getting paid to do my hobby just about every day. My mom was a teacher and she was really passionate about it. My dad worked for the state of New York and he had a job. He took the same train to the same office and wore a suit every day. And this is dressed up. I got dressed up for you guys. This is dressed up. And I very often, most of the time I don't know what my day is going to be like when I go out the door in the morning. And often when my day is finished, I have no idea what I've done for the last 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 or 16 hours. So it's, I would tell you that I am very, very lucky to be here on very many levels. Richard mentioned my 9/11 experience. And the very, very short version was I was standing in front of the South Tower when it came down. And I was pretty badly busted up. I owe my life to a bunch of cops, firefighters, and paramedics who dragged me out of there. And there were so many really, really decent people. You know, around this time of year, you see that blue sky and the low humidity, and you say it's a nice day. But it brings back a lot of memories for anybody who was in New York at that time. So I look at a day like today. Actually, I look like a day when it's raining or snowing or cold or really, really hot and say, I am very, very fortunate to be here. And I am very fortunate to have the opportunity to take photographs and to meet people. And I'm very fortunate that you guys have come and decided to spend the afternoon with me. My psychiatrist, when I was seeing one after 9/11, charged me to talk to them. And now you're listening to me, and it's not costing me anything. So it's all really good. What I want to know is your secret, though. How did you guys manage to sneak away in the middle of the afternoon in the middle of a work week?
Self-employed.
Self-employed. Excellent. Well, you know a little bit about me. Who's in the audience? Who do we have here? Yes, sir. Okay, you almost had to be here, John. Hello, Annie. Thanks for coming. Who else? You can't be shy if you're going to play photojournalist. You have to talk to people. Yes, sir.
Charles Chesler, passionate photographer, working on making a living at it.
Good luck. I say that to anybody who carries a camera because it is not getting any easier. And our competition is people with iPhones. And I have an iPhone, and I think they do a great job. However, when I'm putting a bid in on getting a job and somebody says, well, I have a cousin who has a really good camera, and we're going to have them do the photographs. You're going to have them do the pictures, not the photographs, first of all. And it's not the camera. The camera's a box that steals souls. It's the it is the eye and the vision behind that box that's stealing the souls. Okay? So thank you for joining me here today. If you're here, I know you're passionate about doing it. And we're going to try to, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to show you some of my environmental portraits. And notice how pleased I'm saying environmental portraits, not portraits. Anybody remember the good old days, the black and white days, what a portrait was?
Studio.
A lot of it was done in the studio, that's correct. Newspaper photographers often went out into the field, but that was a old-time portrait, okay? It was a white guy in a white shirt wearing a tie staring at the camera. And if they really, really got sexy about it, it was an action portrait. Okay, the guy was on the phone. Woohoo! We have really, really, really gotten away from that. And we've gotten away from lighting lots of stuff. We've gotten away from a lot of posed portraiture. I think the best photographs will allow you in one quick, easy read to see who the person is and what they do. And it's a ton of fun, you know, going out and meeting people and creating these images. So what I'd like to do is I'll show you a quick show of some of my work, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of it. I've prayed to two goddesses today, by the way. I'm not very religious, but one is the goddess of technology that makes my computer work and show you photographs. And the other goddess is the no rain goddess. Okay, it's like the rain dance, but backwards. And I think it worked. Hopefully on both levels. So it was fun. I enjoyed pulling that together, and a lot of good memories looking at some of those photographs. The Al Pacino, I'm not fazed by celebrity, and I'm not, you know, they're just people. They're regular people like you and I. But a couple of those folks, Al Pacino and Cyndi Lauper, especially, I was actually nervous about. I mean, Pacino, I've admired his acting for years and years, and Cyndi Lauper, I mean, her you know, her music was the voice of my growing up. So I don't know if scared, but nervous for sure. Well, Pacino couldn't have been any cooler. We were waiting around a little bit for his publicist. He goes, "You hungry?" I said, "Yeah, a little bit." He goes, "Well, let's eat something." So he goes into his refrigerator, takes out some leftover Chinese food, throws it in the microwave, and I'm sitting there having leftovers with Al Pacino. It's like, okay, that's not too bad. And Cyndi Lauper couldn't have been any nicer. We went from one apartment to another, followed by at least 10 people carrying stuff, props for the photograph. She came with her own schleppers. And thankfully came with a nice big reflector because I had just started doing portraits back then, and I basically had nothing except for natural light and a good eye. And that little reflector, just kicking some window light back on the other side of her face, really made the difference on the picture. And afterwards, I still went, oh, that was Cyndi Lauper. Wow. So I sat down over the weekend and tried to figure out what actually goes through my mind when I'm going out on an environmental portrait shoot. And number one, case to shoot location like a hunter or a burglar to find several different spots. When I get to a place, get to a location, I'll take my stuff off of my shoulder. And remember, I don't have assistants, I don't have helpers, I usually don't have schleppers. I'm it. I'm doing everything. So I take a tripod off of my shoulder. If I bring a reflector, I put that down, put my camera, and I'll usually take two cameras with me, one with a one with a 24 to 70, and one with an 80 to 200 or a 70 to 200 millimeter lens. Those are my workhorses. That's what I use for the majority of the pictures that I take. If I need something longer, I'm probably too far away. If I need something wider, I'm probably too close. So I would suggest that you could do most everything in photojournalism with two bodies and two lenses, or one body and two lenses. But I walk around after getting that stuff off my shoulder, and I see, what's going on? Where do I want to be? What angles work? What's the light like? What's going to be a place that my subject would be comfortable there? I look for different perspectives before I sit down with my subject. And then number two, it's really important to learn to read the light. Is it contrasty or is it flat? What look do you want? I did a product shoot on Saturday afternoon, and in the morning it was, I don't know if you went out on Saturday morning, that beautiful sweet light early on, but it was kind of contrasty with a nice blue sky, and then it clouded over a little bit in the afternoon, and I did some more pictures around 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was overcast and it was flat, and both look good, but they're dramatically different. So learn to read light. Contrast reflections can work for you or can work against you. And that leads to secret tip number three, fight with light and wrestle with it. Does anybody, a couple people started on the Pentax K1000, but anybody remember the old boxes of Tri-X, that black and white film? And in it came like a product information sheet, which was really spot on informative. And one of the things it suggested was, the photographer stands here, the light is over here, the subject is over there. And that works really well most of the time, unless your subject is squinting because the light is so remarkably bright. I love to fight with light, okay? To use shadows, to shoot into the light, to work on silhouettes, to take, I really try to minimize what I'm carrying. So either some fill flash if you'd like, or a reflector, or just see what kind of a natural reflection you can get off of items around you, just to kick a little bit more light back onto somebody's face. But every portrait that you every portrait that you take cannot be with your subject there, full light forward. Okay, go 90 degrees, go 180 degrees, go against the light, look around, fight with the light and wrestle with it. Tip number four, love color and embrace it. Look, a bad photograph with great color is still a nice colored bad picture. But adding color to some of your photographs can really, really make the difference. Let me pull this up. For example, okay, a bunch of dancers in the South Bronx. Take the red light out of there. It's still a pretty interesting photograph. The light's not bad, the background's okay. Their bodies and their pose are exceptional, okay? I never looked like that. They look pretty damn good, okay? But getting up on a ladder, putting a red light bulb that was just like hanging from the ceiling and putting that in the foreground, I'm adding another level to the image, and I'm adding some more color, okay? So really, really seek out color, love color, and embrace it. That's why newspapers are in color now. When I first started, it was the black and white days. Okay, we used black and white film, and even People magazine, when they switched from black and white to color, became a completely different entity. Does anybody shoot black and white now? just a little bit for fun, right? To be different. Okay. But really, looking at color and adding that to your image will bring up your portraits one more level. Okay. Best tip number 5. You have 3 seconds to make your subject feel comfortable. I call this the act of the schmooze. Okay. Who here is from New York? Okay. You know what the act of the schmooze is. You can talk to inanimate objects and they'd respond to you. Okay. You go out on a date and sometimes you feel comfortable, or you meet somebody in the street for the first time, and sometimes you hit it off, and sometimes you just, you know, the little hairs on the back of your neck are standing up, or you just don't feel right about somebody when you meet them the first time. You have to make everybody be your friend within about 3 seconds of when you go and photograph them. And we're not just talking, you know, regular people on the street. We're even talking celebrities. I photographed Michael C. Hall. He was in he's in Dexter. He was in 6 Feet Under. Let's see, where is Michael C. Hall? Michael, where'd you go? Here we go. Is that on 57th Street? Yes, then it was. Thank you. I got a really uncomfortable feeling from him. And I said, I got to ask you a question. He eats people. Taking his character out of it, because I remember him more from 6 Feet Under than from Dexter. Okay. But I said, I got to ask you a question. I get the feeling that you're a little bit uncomfortable with our photo session. And I see you on TV every Sunday night, and you're in movies, and you're, you know, on television programs, but you seem a little bit uncomfortable. Very, very interesting words. He goes, what you see on your television screen is me acting. What you have here is me. Think about it. You know, when they go into role or go into character, you know, I'm not an actor, nor do I play one on TV, but they morph into different personas, different personalities. And I guess when I have a photo session with somebody, whether they're a Hollywood star or somebody who you're photographing on the High Line today, we have to keep in mind that we're dealing with lots of different personalities. And I teach a photojournalism class at NYU. I look at my students there. These are journalism students. They're going to have to talk to people who've just lost somebody in a fire or had their home ravaged by a hurricane. And this is a generation that is used to communicating like this, with a text message. So how the hell are you going to go out and do journalism if you can't look somebody in the eye and talk to them? So I say that the best asset that any photojournalist has is the ability to schmooze, the ability to relate to somebody else, the ability to talk with somebody else, and to make them feel comfortable. If they're comfortable with you, your pictures will show it, your images will clearly show it. Get that repartee going back and forth with your subject, no matter who they are. Number 6, empower your subject. And this also goes to making them feel a little bit more comfortable. When I go to a photo shoot, the first thing I'll ask my subject is, where do you want to be photographed? Why? You're taking the picture. What do you mean, where do I want to be photographed? Look, it's your home, it's your office, it's your restaurant, it's wherever it is. You're going to feel more comfortable if you're getting a buy-in on this photo shoot. Okay? Tip number 7, watch your background carefully, often. Nobody wants to get home and realize that every single photograph that you've taken of somebody has a street lamp coming out of the back of their head, or a tree, or somebody photobombing, you know, 3 guys in the background going, okay? I mean, some cases it might add to it. On some occasions it might add to it. But basically you want to check your background often. Tip number 8, F4 and be there. Many of my best environmental portraits are done on location, they're done outside, they're done out on the street, and you have a feeling of place from the photograph, but the environmental portrait is about the person, not where they are. and I do the majority of my work at f3.2 or f4, so there is a bit of background there, but that background is out of focus, okay? And I think you're going to talk a little bit about aperture?
Yeah.
Excellent, okay. It's very, very important that you have a good technological knowledge of your camera. Tip number 9, remember that the camera works both vertically and horizontally. Many people forget that, okay? This way, good. That way, also good. I work for a newspaper, and despite the fact that we have a very big online presence, nydailynews.com is doing very well, we still have a paper product that's sent out every day to our readers. And I never know what our designers are going to need for a page. So I don't want them to use a wire photo, another photo. I don't want them calling back 4 hours later and saying, by the way, do you have a vertical? Oh, no. So always shoot horizontals, always shoot verticals. And that goes to number 10, always give your editors choices, okay? You never want them to come back to you and say, why don't you have that? I will always have it. Okay, so that means, by the way, doing portraits, waist length, full length, horizontal, and vertical. Okay, you don't have to, when you edit them, you don't have to send them all into the office. You don't have to provide them all to the client, but you never want it to come back where they say, do you have? And the answer is no. I will always have the picture you want. Number 11, be a master of your auto exposure. And yes, I am saying auto exposure. Who here drives a car? Okay, who here drives a standard transmission? Okay, that's like 1 out of the 15 or 18 or 20 people. I drive an automatic. I drive an automatic because it keeps me from crashing into the other cars while I'm trying to figure out what gear I'm in. The same way with auto exposure. It allows me to concentrate on what the subject's doing, posing them, working with them, checking my background, composing my photograph, rather than f4 at 250th, f4 at 125th, whatever. But be a master of your auto exposure. Anybody ever hear the great technical term chimping? Is that a yes laugh or a no laugh?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Chimping is when a digital camera, it's not dirty, calm down. Chimping is when a digital photographer looks at the back of their camera and goes, ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, it sometimes leads to cross-chimping, which if you do that out loud, other photographers will go, what do you got, what do you got? Let me see, here, this is what I got, wait, this is what I got, cross-chimping. But you have that thing, that little rectangle on the back of your camera now, and it's a miracle box, it really is. Of course, in the old days, you know, you shoot Kodachrome, and you'd ship it away, and 2 weeks later, it would come in a yellow box. And it's like, oh man, that picture's not too bad, but these are horrible. I could look right away on the back of my camera and check both my exposure and my white balance. So I would suggest bracket your exposure, and then you might want to bracket your white balance also. Because what you see on the back of your camera, you'll get used to it, but it's not necessarily spot on exactly what you're recording. And number 13, the most important part of environmental portraiture, smile. My baby brother is a dentist. He's the Jewish professional in the family. I am not. However, when you go in with a positive attitude, when you go in with a little bit of a grin, when you're, people have told me this, and I didn't even realize it, it's kind of embarrassing, but people have told me that when I'm photographing, they can see me smiling from out from behind that little box that I'm stealing people's souls with. So, smile, have a good time. Look, you could be doing roofing work or road work in Florida in July, and that ain't fun.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.